Welcome to the Future of Ground Transportation podcast, where we discuss the exciting innovations that lie ahead for organizational ground transportation. Each episode, we cover topics tailored to those resolving transportation-related challenges and provide tips, tools, and trends that will inspire you to stay ahead of the curve. And now, here's your host, Daniel Perez.
Welcome to the Future of Transportation. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. Blaise Sullivan, Program Director for the Boston CDL School. Blaise, welcome to the show today. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for participating. It's an honor to have you here today. So, just to get everybody's perspective on the show today, Blaise is a Program Director of the Boston CDL School, and you could probably tell us, Blaise, more what is your role, and tell us a little bit about the Boston CDL School.
Well, my role, I'm program director. When I came in, Boston CDL had been around for a while, but it was sort of in hibernation, I guess. So I was asked to sort of restart it. We're building it kind of from the ground up again. I had a history working at another school, so it's something I had experience with. But currently we're getting the students coming in. We've got a program that's working. We're sort of primed the pump, so to speak. Students are passing. We just, at this point, we're trying to build up the numbers and build up a bigger program with it.
Got it. And the school teaches what kind of students are we training?
Okay, currently we have buses we're working with. So the course we're offering is a Class B with the passenger endorsement and air brakes. Anyone who gets through that gets their license and be able to drive pretty much anything on the vehicle. I mean, any vehicle on the road, except like a tractor trailer Class A, but they can still drive trucks. They can drive trucks pulling smaller trailers. They'll be able to do the buses. So they'll have a pretty good background moving forward.
Got it. Perfect. Thank you. So tell us, Blaise, how did you get started in the transportation and educational journey?
It actually goes way back. My introduction to transportation, I got a job back in 1982, driving a school bus. I was running a boat at the time. That was an off-season job. The boat thing didn't.
Driving a boat?
Yeah, I had a fishing business.
Okay.
So a lobster boat. So I got a seasonal job doing school buses. The fishing thing never really worked out, so I ended up going back to school. I continued to do the buses for a while. Then I got into the human services industry. So I was actually working in juvenile corrections, and a lot of that was in school and education. Eventually, 10 years later, I sort of burned out of that. I got my Class A license. I did over the road for about 6 years. I pretty much lived in my truck for that time. I'd go out for 2, sometimes 3 months at a stretch, come home for a week, and then just go back and live in the truck.
Okay.
I left that job to come local. I did a handful of jobs. I worked for a trash company. I hauled hazardous waste. I've hauled nuclear waste. A few of the places I worked, I ended up in management. I was safety manager at the trash company for a while. Eventually back in 2014, I had a back injury. It was fairly severe. It made it more and more difficult to drive. So then I decided to get into teaching the driving. So I kind of took my education background and my trucking background and combined them together. And I became an instructor and eventually safety manager. And director of safety and training for a school. And this spring, sort of looking for a change, I ended up working. I saw an application for DPV transportation. I took a job there as the trainer. And then on the side, they mentioned that they had a sister company, the Boston CDL, which I kind of jumped on board with, and I've been working at that ever since.
Awesome, awesome, perfect. So tell me, in regards to the Boston CDL School, what are the current most challenges that you see in the market, and what is it that you guys are doing to sort of mitigate these things?
Well, I think right now the only problem is where it's fairly new, it just hasn't had a whole lot of exposure. Um, we're looking to hire somebody specifically for marketing. Um, I have some pretty good contacts who know a lot about selling the school and things like that. So we just have to get some more advertising out there and more reaching out. Um, as opposed to, I mean, right now we got, some people just wandering across the website. Um, it's showing up on Google searches, but I think as we start to grow, we're going to get a lot of word of mouth. I've had many students so far say, "Oh, I know other people, and I'll spread the word." And I get friends who want to get a CDL at this point. So I think once the reputation starts to get better, we'll get more people.
Thank you, Blaise. But as far as the actual industry on the on CDL training schools, what are the main challenges that you see in?
There's actually a couple. One big challenge right now, I hate to say it, but um, marijuana has been legalized in a lot of states. It's accepted in a lot of places. I don't really have any strong opinions either way on it, but it's not something you can do and hold a CDL. So the industry has lost, from my understanding, well over 100,000 drivers since they started the clearinghouse several years ago. Um, so that is a barrier. Um, some people, it's like they just want to do recreational marijuana, and it's like, well, it's just, I guess, can't have a driving position. But um, in addition to that, I think, some people are sort of, hesitant to get into like a new field of work they might not understand. Um, I don't think, when they go to school and things like that, it just doesn't really come up as, I mean, they see drivers all the time, but they have no idea that, there's some very good paying jobs. It's a good fit for an awful lot of people who, really don't want to sit in an office all the time or work in a factory or do a lot of physical labor. Um, I think there's just not the awareness out there of all the opportunities there are.
Yeah. Okay. And as far as innovation, what do you see in the near future when it comes to innovation, changes sort of in the CDL training schools?
Um, the training schools, I know truck simulators are out there that are very realistic when it comes to shifting and driving. Can save some wear and tear on the vehicles, putting somebody behind the wheel of that. Um, I think there's more options like online education, studying entry level driver training. There's options to, learn from home for people who sort of have a mixed up schedule. Um, the vehicles are getting easier to drive. The newer ones, you have more cameras and blind spot monitors. Um, the manual transmissions are sort of becoming obsolete. That was a big um, obstacle to teaching people to drive, double clutching, things like that. So there's less and less of those on the road.
Got it.
Um,
So, question, Blaze, as we have this conversation, since we have a lot of either truck drivers and bus drivers that are listening to the show, and a lot of transit agency authorities listening to the show, what recommendation and advice do you have for folks that are leading a team of multiple chauffeurs or drivers coming into the marketplace, or just your typical um, gentleman or lady who's looking to get a job in this sort of marketplace? What advice will you tell those individuals just getting started in the CDL journey?
um, First, I would say don't let your your fear take charge that you can't drive a vehicle that big, or maybe you feel a little uncomfortable driving in traffic with your own car or something like that. I've trained an awful lot of people who really had no idea that they would be able to do it, very self-conscious about it. But once they get behind the wheel with the proper training and everything else, um, I've sort of taken pride in the fact that anybody who wants to do this can do this. It's not a skill set that most people don't have. It's just a question of, you just got to jump in and do this, and don't be afraid of the vehicle. I've had so many people, just the first time they move the vehicle, backing it straight up like 400 feet. It's like you can just see the relief when all of a sudden it's like, wow, I can do this. I only drove it 400 feet, but I know I can do this now. I've conquered that first step. Um, so that would be my advice for anyone getting into the field. Um, but beyond that, like I said, it's a lucrative career. There's a lot of good jobs out here. There's a tremendous variety of jobs. It's like someone says they're a doctor. Well, that could be anything from a pediatrician to an emergency room surgeon, or whatever. I mean, truck driver. You could be driving a cement truck. You could be pulling a tanker. You could be going from restaurant to restaurant, delivering food. There are some jobs where you do very little driving. It's mostly freight. There's other jobs where you don't touch freight at all. Um, so it's tremendous variation out there.
That's well said. And in regards to innovation, when it comes to autonomous vehicles, what do you think is going to happen with the workforce? What do you think is going to be the shift of training? Is it training to drive an autonomous vehicle? What do you think is going to happen if we were to fast forward 5 to 10 years from now?
All right, 5 to 10 years from now, I think this is where we'll be. You'll have some routes where, in some of the major shipping lanes, like the over the road stuff, you'll have autonomous trucks pulling out of a lot right near the highway, driving 400 or 500 miles, getting off the highway, pulling into another lot. Um, and at that point, someone's going to have to fuel the truck, things like that. So, fully autonomous, I think it might be limited to some straight stretches along the road, just on and off of, specific stations for that. And then local drivers will pick up and go from there. So, I think it might take some of the jobs from over the road drivers, for some distances, but I don't see autonomous vehicles actually making local deliveries and backing into docks and driving through city traffic. I just don't think the technology is going to be there for a while. There's just too many variables.
Yeah,
So
that-
that's my thought anyway.
that's good. Good. Thank you for sharing that. And as far as what is the best professional or business advice you ever gotten so far, Blaze?
Many years ago, when I was working in the corrections, the juvenile corrections, we had two supervisors. I was one of them, and they let one of them go, and I was kind of doing double duty. And I had a boss, he was pretty type A personality. And I said, listen, I'm doing twice as much work here. And he looked at me, he said, then you got to work twice as hard. Uh, and he wasn't being snarky, but as I thought about it, it's like, you can complain about your situation. You can look for the ways around it, but sometimes you just have to work twice as hard.
Mm,
And
I-
that lesson, when I got into the trash business, grabbing trash off the side of the road and moving a lot of heavy weights and everything else, I had similar advice. An old trash guy just told me, he says, you know what? In the trash industry, sometimes the hard way is the easy way. You can spend a lot of time looking for shortcuts. Sometimes you just got to put your shoulder into it and do it. That's just all that's gonna do it. That's what it takes.
I love it. I love it. It really resonated that message with me right now. So appreciate you sharing that. And then, as far as when it comes to books, what are the best books, one or two books that has the biggest impact on your journey as well?
Um, I think I got the title right, but seven dysfunctions of a team or something like that. I found that very useful reading that. I think as a manager, I kind of looked at, you know, sort of people as, you know, just not working together or problems or whatever, but it kind of broke down different roles that people play. And you kind of understand it's like, it's not that people are really trying to mess things up. It's just they're coming from their perspective. And sometimes if you can identify the problem, you can work with it and make it better. Sometimes you can't. But I think I got a lot of that out of that one. And then 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I kind of got a lot out of that book too.
Yeah, 100%. Perfect. Thank you for dropping so many nuggets of wisdom and experience shares here. As far as the how can for the listeners that might be interested in obtaining their CDL license or learning more about the program, how can they get hold of you, Blaise?
The best way is go right to the website, bostoncdl.com. There's a pop-up window you can put your information in, and then somebody will contact you. My email, it's Blaise, it's spelled BLAISE .Sullivan at bostoncdl.com. Either one of those would work. Again, I think, like I said, the website's the easiest one to remember.
Got it. Perfect. Well, Blaise, thank you so much for your time. And for all the listeners, to stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you for being part of this podcast. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning in today. We hope you enjoyed the episode and got some valuable insights. If you're curious to learn more, head over to the resource website at dpvtransportation.com, where we got a ton of useful resources and tools for you to stay ahead of the game. And before we wrap it up, I want to invite you to book a free guest admission consultation or a consultation about your ground transportation program with us. Just register on our website is a fantastic way to see how your fleet is doing or how your overall program could be improved. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll catch you next time on the Future of Ground Transportation. Have a great day.
Thanks for tuning in to the Future of Ground Transportation. We appreciate you coming along for the ride. If you found value in this episode and want to hear more, please make sure to subscribe to the show.